Hey guys, really quickly before getting to the start of this week's video, I just wanted to hop in and make a quick announcement because I have been going crazy on Patreon the last couple of days, adding a couple of new perks as well as something I am really excited to talk about, so I just thought I would talk about it now, and that is the Discord server. So you guys have asked me for the past couple of years to make a Discord server, and I've always said that I probably won't be doing it, but I did it. I just felt like making one day. I don't know, but I'm really excited about it. A couple of you guys have already joined, which is super cool. You do not have to be a patron in order to access the Discord server. In fact, it will be linked down in the description of this video. That being said, patrons do get a couple of extra Discord perks, like their own exclusive roles, as well as 2 Patreon exclusive channels. One of them is exclusive to all patrons, which is the Patreon only chat, and the second is actually only available to Masha and Strawberry patrons, which is the bi-monthly video critique channel. So with this channel, you can post in it all year round. The reason it's bi-monthly is because every other month I will be going and taking a few of these pieces to make a video critique of, essentially a roasting your art video for patrons, but also a lot more in-depth than a roasting your art video would be. I'm going to hopefully be able to take a lot more time on those. Something that's also different with the matcha tier now is that I have changed the price a little bit, but that's because I also added commission tier to it. So every month you guys are going to get an icon commission that's going to look something like this, which I'm super excited about. I love doing commissions like these. They are my most popular commission, but they're also something that I think is really accessible for me to be able to do multiple of within the month. So if you guys are interested in getting literally monthly commissions from me for only $20, as well as the physical reward tier, early access, all of that stuff, definitely go check out the Patreon. I'm super excited about all of that stuff that I've just added. I'm also going to be adding more kind of like behind the scenes stuff. Initially, I was only adding like PSD files and stuff for Patreon rewards. So for like the digital download and the line art also would come with like the sketches and things like that and the PSD files. However, I'm also going to start including things like video sneak peeks in addition to the early access videos. So you guys will see kind of like the topic of the video maybe a day before or a couple of days before the early upload, and then you guys will get the early upload as well. But I'm also considering adding like just kind of like really ugly sketches that I definitely wouldn't be posting anywhere else. Just really fun kind of looks inside my sketchbook that nobody else gets to see, and that's going to be accessible to all tiers on the Patreon. So yeah, overall, just quick housekeeping stuff. I hope you guys are really excited because I'm really excited. So yeah, if you want to join the Patreon, the link will be down below. Tiers start at literally $1. So if you want to help support me, that's a really good way to do it. If not, just share this video. That helps support me as well. Anyways, on to the actual video. Hey, what's up you guys? It's Simon. Welcome back to my channel. So everybody who is an artist at one point that has watched a YouTube video from another artist has seen those videos where they challenge themselves to use art supplies from the dollar store. And I've always wanted to do one of these videos. In fact, I might have before. I honestly can't remember. But it has probably been a while since doing so. So I thought now would be an awesome time to head back to the dollar store and see what they have. So initially upon entering my local dollar store, I wasn't expecting to see more beyond your average assortment of random Crayola products, essentially something you would buy for a school project and not necessarily an art piece. Not that you can't use Crayola for an art piece, but that was the bare minimum that I was expecting. But I was honestly shocked to see that they had a pretty wide variety of different projects, all the way from embroidery to your pretty standard crappy watercolor brushes, all the way up to wood burning stuff, which I was really surprised by. But anyways, with all of those options to choose from, let me show you guys what I actually ended up buying. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to show you guys, because it is one of the first things that you want to think about when creating a traditional illustration is the surface that you will be illustrating upon. So for me, it is paper. And this paper is really interesting because only just now, as I've started filming, have I realized that these are books. I thought it was just like loose paper. I had no idea that these are actually like little bound paper books for creating, I guess, stories. I did not intend to grab these, but I'm curious to see how the paper is going to hold out. Like I said, I was just intending to get like loose paper. I thought this was like loose mixed media paper. I guess I grabbed the wrong thing, but it only cost me $2, so not very upset about it. The next thing that we have here are these watercolor paints. So they feel super light. They only cost me looks like $4, and I'm not certain again how the quality is going to be. They might be incredibly chalky, they might be super pigmented, they might be like a little hidden gem inside your local dollar store. I don't know, but I thought it was super interesting because it has, you know, a pretty decent amount of colors in there, and I really wanted to try some. So here's these. The next thing that we have, obviously because we got the watercolors, are these watercolor brushes, which cost me $3. I was so excited to find these because, as you guys know, one of my favorite things to do when using watercolors are to use the Pentel Aquash brushes, because I am so bad at figuring out water ratios when it comes to using watercolor. I don't know how to create washes. I don't know how to, you know, ratio out my water or anything like that. I think it's so much more convenient for me to just have water inside of my brush that I can squeeze or not, depending on if I want more water. I don't know. It's convenient for me. Definitely makes a lot more sense. So yeah, I got some of these. I've really been needing the actual Aquash brushes, but every single time I've gone into Michael's, they're not there. So these were definitely an exciting find. I can't wait to see how they hold up against the actual one. They actually feel really firm, so they might be kind of hard to work with, but I guess we will find out shortly. The last thing that I got, I actually will not be using for this video, and you guys will obviously see why, and that is because they are these wooden slice coasters. The reason that I got these was because I actually recently got some Himi gouache over the holidays, and I have been wanting to experiment with painting on wood, and I just thought these were super cute, and they were super cheap considering, like a lot of things in this video, they were only $2 for 2 of them, compared to like $2 for like half of one this size at Michael's. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I thought that was a steal and I wanted to get some. So overall, the total that I paid for all of these items in this video was $11.83, which I think is insane. Literally just over $10, but under $10 if you count the fact I'm not using the wooden circles for this video. I also didn't think to buy like pens or pencils, colored pencils or anything like that I will potentially be using in this video, only because I figure a lot of people already have those at home, especially if you were ever a student art-wise or not. Even if you only had those things as like your childhood art supplies, I'm sure you've got a pencil or a colored pencil or crayons even somewhere in your house, and I wasn't going to repurchase something that I know that I already have somewhere in my house just for this video. Super excited. So I guess the next thing to do is get into swatches. Okay, moral of the story. When shopping at the dollar store, perhaps actually read what you are buying. This is a palette. These are not paints. I don't know why I just assumed that they would be paints. The fact that it was so light should have been a giveaway. I really thought that they were just extremely light paints and that they were just going to be incredibly chalky. No, in fact, they are invisible because they're not in there. So, I guess I'm gonna be heading back to the dollar store. But we are officially back from the dollar store. So I managed to find some paint that was the exact same price, hello airplane, as the palette that I got. And they're actually tube watercolors, which is interesting to me because I've only used tube watercolors once, actually, I believe. And they were around a similar quality, but it was way back when I had no idea how to use watercolors or really art supplies in general at all. So I'm interested to see what I can possibly make with these. I am excited about the idea of color mixing, but also I'm not, because I'm not very good at doing so. I'm a lot easier with pan watercolors that I can just kind of like dip, dab, and mix until they're to the consistency or the color or shade that I like, and I can kind of add as many as I want. But in order to do that with these, I'd have to mix. Literally, I'd have to put every single one of them on my palette. So yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. But there are these, and I decided to switch out the paper as well, just because I didn't really know how they were going to work for this particular project. Of course, I don't intend to make a whole entire book with this piece. It's just gonna be the one drawing, so I found some paper that I thought would be better suited for it, which are these A2 cards and envelopes. I think they're a bit thicker paper as well, so I think they're definitely going to be better suited for this project. And also, it ended up actually getting me some money back because these were cheaper than the books that I ended up getting. So yeah, I guess moral of the story, maybe don't read before you go, because you actually might save money on your return. Anyways, let us get into the swatching. Okay, so I'm just gonna say these are far from the prettiest swatches in the entire world. I'm gonna say most of it I'm gonna leave up to it being user error. I'm not obviously the most familiar with watercolors. As you guys have seen on my channel, I primarily use digital illustration, and if I'm not doing digital art, then 90% of the time I am using my Copic markers with maybe a little bit of mixed media in the form of color pencil and watercolor going into it, but they're usually more for minor details. I did do one painting like 3 years ago that I really liked, but it's definitely not one of my main mediums. I also did, I think, use quite a bit of watercolor throughout Inktober maybe 2 years ago, or maybe it was last year. I don't know, the last couple of years have really blended together for me. But that being said, these paints are really interesting. So I do want to say that I think they are pretty pigmented, except for in the case of the green. I don't know if that was because I put too much water in the initial swatch or not, but it definitely seemed like it was less pigmented than the other paints. Other than that, I didn't really struggle to swatch any of them. That being said, these paints are a very interesting consistency. They're almost like paste-like, I want to say. There's like a bit of a thickness to them, which I haven't really seen before, even in the lower quality watercolor paints that I have used. They generally tend to either be chalky or just really thin, but these are like thick, Like they almost feel like, not quite like acrylics, they don't really have the same body to them, but they're almost like a gelatin substance. They're a very strange texture, but I think if you do give them a good mix with water, and definitely don't try to use straight from the tube this paint, I think that they're definitely going to be really interesting. This texture though is very curious to me. Okay, so getting into the speed paint and thus what it was like to actually work with these materials, really quickly I do want to say I am going to be blasting through this portion of the footage because as you can see, there is not much footage left, and that is because I filmed this video not once but twice all the way through before looking up and realizing that for whatever reason my camera was not recording, and then rather than torturing myself and filming it for a third time, I instead opted to compile what footage I had available to me and use that to hopefully get us through the rest of this review. So I hope you guys don't mind. But anyways, moving straight into our first supply, which is the paper. So right off the bat, I'm going to be giving this paper a 10 out of 10 because I can directly compare it to the Canson mixed media paper. This paper had tooth, it had weight, it had texture, it had virtually everything you could want from a high quality mixed media paper, and I am so thoroughly impressed with it, especially considering the fact it is $1. I really honestly don't have any complaints about it other than one thing that really isn't that much of a complaint, and that is the size. So it is actually pretty small. The paper on the packaging does say it's A2 paper, however it is folded to be like an envelope greeting card type situation, so if you split it in half, the dimensions actually end up being around 4.5 by 5.5 inches, which seems really small, but also honestly if you compare it to the smallest size of the Canson Mixed Media sketchbook, which is 8.5 by 5.5 inches, they actually do share a dimension, which means that it's actually not that much smaller. Obviously it is half the size on one edge, but because they do share that one dimension, it does actually make it, you know, a little bit more comparable to a standard sketchbook size, but it is generally pretty smaller. That being said, it's still amazing paper. It's still $1, and you actually do get quite a bit of it. You do get, it says 10 sheets, however, if you do split it in half, you actually end up with 20. So you can buy 3 of these for $3 and end up with virtually the same amount of pages as a standard sketchbook. So generally, all around, no complaints on the paper, 10 out of 10, amazing. I will probably end up repurchasing this as long as they continue to carry it. Moving on to the next supply, we have the watercolor paint. So I do have quite a few more things to say about the paint than I do with the paper, and that isn't to say that I dislike the paint, just that I have a few more gripes with it, I guess you could say. So I think, honestly, the main thing that I dislike about this paint is the texture. I am going to keep reiterating that it is just a weird, thick, gelatinous substance that I do not like, and I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because we don't have much time left. Essentially, with these paints, you want to thoroughly mix the paint into the water, because if you don't, you're going to have chunks of pigment floating throughout that make it pretty difficult to have flat, just one color. So if you thoroughly mix your paints, you're not going to have that chunk in there, and you're not going to risk messing up your colors. For example, the hair was meant to be brown, and I couldn't get it dark enough, which is something that also bothered me, but in trying to get it darker, I'd mixed red, blue, and purple in with the brown paint, and I didn't realize that there was red going throughout the water, and when I put it down on the paper, the hair in that particular section looked way bright reddish orange rather than like the actual dark brown color that I'd liked. And then, like I said, I just want to reiterate, it's hard to get really deep tones in this. There is a black in this set, however, it sucks. It's very sheer. It doesn't deepen things at all. In fact, all it does is desaturate colors. I know it's expected to use or mix your own black when working with paints. However, because there was a black in this set, I wanted to use it because I wanted to use the set to its fullest extent, and it didn't work for me. Other than that, I do really like these paints. I feel like they're very pigmented, and they go down on the paper really smooth. The hair is maybe not the best example, because there was the little hiccup with the color issue, and then there was also just the fact that it's a very small painting, and I was trying to cover a large area with a dark color and trying not to touch any of the areas that were going to be lighter, so I was lifting up my brush quite a bit more than I would have on a normal piece. That being said, I still think they're really nice. I would especially say, because they're only $4, that they're really nice for maybe beginner artists, but also for people like me who maybe want to branch out into other mediums but are really scared of buying the more expensive versions, especially if at the end of the day maybe they don't like using this medium. So yeah, definitely a good introductory set for watercolor. Highly recommend them. The last art supply I want to talk about, and I'm scared to talk about this one because I know I'm going to get some slack for it, but I'm just going to say it. There is no reason for the Pentel aquashes to be $25 now. This is $3 for a set of 3 watercolor brushes, and I feel like the only thing that you are missing in this set is a flat brush when comparing them to the Pentel aquash brushes. I've used quite a few water brushes on this channel. Most of them were within the Wish video, but another also being the brush that actually comes with these Sakura Koi watercolors, none of which I liked. Not a single one. I've disliked every off-brand watercolor brush that I have used, except for these. And these are the cheapest ones so far. Like, these are legit amazing. I'm so impressed with them. The brushes are really soft. They're really nice. I feel like they're similar in texture and quality to the Aquash pens. I also feel like the barrel might hold a little bit more water, actually, than the Pentel brushes, which is crazy. So this brush set does come with 3 round brushes. There's a large brush, a medium brush, and a fine point, all of which are amazing. Even the largest brush was able to get into the finest points of this paper, or not of this paper, of this painting. The only issue I really have with them is that the barrel is a bit firmer than the Pentel brushes, but not by a lot. And the only issue, or the only reason I mention this, is because they're a little bit firmer, I did end up squeezing a little bit harder and ended up getting a bit more water than I'd initially intended onto the painting a few times. So I think there is a bit of just practicing, trying to figure out, you know, how much water you need to use, but honestly I feel like that's an issue with the Pentel brushes as well when you're first trying to get used to using them. So genuinely no complaints. If I can pay $3 for something I would normally pay $25 if not $27 for it, yeah, I'm gonna pay $3. Okay, so that is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry about the rush here at the end. I hope it was enjoyable to watch nonetheless. I do want to say again, maybe consider checking out the Patreon that's down below. I'm super excited about all of the new things that I've added, especially the Discord server. There's already a handful of you guys in there, which is amazing. Thank you to anybody who's joined, and thank you to those of you who are going to join now at the end of this video. And also thank you to my patrons, Elise Thompson, Duran, Mandy, Sleeps, Heat, Created by Twins, and Shannon. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for continuing to support me in every single video. I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!